How's everyone doing today? I'm Giro Bassett, and we're going to spend a little bit of time coding VERIS incidents. And so this is taking news articles about breaches and such, and turning them into turn them into structured data that we can then analyze to go and figure out what kind of breaches happen around the world. It'll be a little bit short today because I need to end on time instead of going over like I normally do. But one of the things that we'll be working with today is we'll be working on the new schema. We made updates to version 1.4, and so we're going to apply those. In fact, for partner organizations that submit to the DBR, you can choose partner. And it's very similar to the VCDB schema. In fact, literally the only differences between the DBIR schema and the VCDB schema is that the source ID for VCDB is hard-coded to VCDB. That's it's the only difference other than the name. The difference in the web app is that depending on which one you choose, it'll show you different things. And so GitHub doesn't show up if you choose partner or something. If you say want to use the partner view of the schema, it changes kind of some of the things you see in here so that it shows you the things that are most applicable. So we'll switch this back down to VCDB, which is what we'll be using. We're going to be coding into 1.3.4. VERIS was updated, or VCDB was updated to 1.3.4 last night. We also added a standard Excel file that includes the schema. VERIS was updated to 1.3.4 last night as well. And so the major changes to the schema are really none of them are particularly break changes. It's not like we added event chain, which requires special processing or anything. But we did change things around. A good example would be down in the attribute or asset, cloud section, where the cloud is now, before it was really actions, how was the cloud used as part of the attack? And those things have now migrated mostly to hacking vectors or misuse vectors or errors. Now, cloud is primarily, was a cloud asset involved, or were the assets cloud-based? We also added a enumeration down here for role. So the goal here is to try to capture the difference between IT and OT assets, because a lot of times, a year or two ago, we added embedded systems, which is under E. I went down here, telemetry, telematics, things that receive data, things that send data, or things that receive data from the real world, things that impact the real world, other and unknown. And the reality is we never end up coding these things. But that doesn't mean that OT systems are not affected. And so because of that, to try to capture where OT is affected, which primarily is in things like maybe a human-machine interface, an HMI, we wanted to include OT and IT so that maybe we could capture that aspect, which is probably more what people are interested in when it comes to infrastructure than strictly embedded. And so anyway, with that, we can go in here to VCDB, and nothing has changed. If you do submit to VCDB, submissions need to be in 1.3.4. You can either use the scripts in VERIS to convert them, or send them to us and we can convert them, or let us know. The workflow will not pick them up if they're in an older version, because the VERIS workflow doesn't have the tasks built into it to upgrade VERIS versions, which we do use for our internal DBIR workflow, so that we can take issues that have maybe been written in an older language or an older version of VERIS and update them. So anyway, let's look at what I have on my list to do today. I already killed 5 minutes, so we gotta be quick. Trade IO hacked, loses 50 million. I think we already did this. What did I mark down here? Should I have closed this? Search for trade.io. Trade IO hacked. Yeah. We can remove that one because it is done. I am very bad about closing issues, aren't I? So anyway, it's closed. What other ones do we have here? I guess we could do the two PHI DVR ones here. Protected health information breaches. East York Hospital recovering after malware attack. Hospital is working 24/7 because you wouldn't want them thinking that you were working 4/5 or something to restore your IT systems. After being hit with malware attack last month, they received a call from IT staff that a virus later identified as Ryuk. Oh, that's nice. We actually have a virus name. Look it up. Hey, it's ransomware. Who would have guessed? As well as a fictional character in manga. It's entered the hospital servers and was affecting both clinical and administrative applications within the hospital. While we continue to assess full extent of the issue, we know the virus started at an MGH computer. That doesn't help. Started on one of our computers. The virus has been described. We have not been in contact with anyone about payment. Our teams are in control of our systems. Only our teams. As a result, the hospital says the clinical teams were forced to use paper processes. Yeah, I wonder if they've gone back to teaching that substantially in nursing school and medical school, paper charting just in case something like this happens. Anyway, we can code this up. It's pretty straightforward. This happened October 19th. It's confirmed ransomware. The problem is they didn't say how the ransomware was received. Maybe we can search for that. Let's see. I'm going to do that. Let's do a new tab. So ransomware. How did they get it is what I want to know. Delays patients, headache, staff, plays. We know what happened. User that remains invisible for weeks or months during time it collects information about the organization. Then locks files. Well, I can read about the ransomware over here. Sophisticated crime group has been operating as targeting large organizations, big game hunting, especially used to target enterprise environments. Code comparisons between derived from source code. Okay, ransomware. How much? 3 million, 3.7 million. Number of different ransom notes, templates have been observed. Ransom email, so they email the ransom. So they poke around inside. Ransom demands very significant, blah, blah, blah. It's distributed. Multiple sections in which TrickBot was also identified. Initial compromise through TrickBot, which is typically distributed through spam email. Okay. Developed and operated by another, mummy spider, some TrickBots such as PW Grab, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, here. I'm going to add this reference in here as well for the malware, and then we'll add the reference for the hospital. And it's good to put this reference back in here as well. Summary. Hospital received got ransomware infected by ransomware, likely through phishing, through spam. Phishing. Okay. Confidence. Medium, we don't know everything about this. We don't know, so if it sat in the environment for a long time, we really don't know when it happened. They discovered it September 25th, but we'll say this happened in 2019. We don't have a whole lot more information. Compromise. Likely took minutes, but it was probably by phishing. And I don't know. We'll say hours because it takes hours for emails to be opened. Exfiltration likely took, I don't know. I mean, really, some data was exfiltrated, but we really don't know how much because they were exploring inside the network. And so we don't really know. Discovery, again, we don't know. Containment, again, we don't know because they're still containing it. Notification happened basically, looks like maybe October 4th? No, it's when this tweet went out. October 3rd. Okay, 2019, 10, 3rd. Okay, the victim ID is Michael Guerin Hospital. Okay. And then that means we need to know a little bit about Michael Guerin Hospital. Maybe the number of employees. See how big is it? We don't have a whole lot of information here. 400 physicians and oh, there we are. 2,600 employees and 400 physicians. That is large. Okay. Industry, they're a hospital, which I'm pretty sure is 6+1. But I will double check myself. No, it's the 622. 622, 210. Patient affected. Looks like one hospital in Canada. Montreal, right? East York Hospital. Let's go back to the Wikipedia page about them. In Ontario. And so let's see, what is the state for Ontario? See, Canada, province of Ontario. I assumed Ontario, yeah. ON, okay. So CAON. Region would be North America. And really no secondary victim, but this was a targeted attack. Let's see, hacking variety. There was clearly some unknown hacking varieties because the attackers, the way the malware works, the attackers come in and they pivot around. It was likely through command and control. Likely through TrickBot. And this is not necessarily used to maybe exfiltrate, but not infiltrate or elevate, really. The malware was what was it? That was right? RYUK, yeah. And it is ransomware. But we also think that is likely paired because of just the TTPs with TrickBot potentially. Okay. And then this is likely both by part of it was likely by email, and we don't know if it was a detachment or a link. Oh, come on. Where did it say spam here? Show me. Which is typically distributed either via spam or through the use of the Emotap geo-based download function. So they probably got spam another time. So, okay. And then TrickBot. I spent a bunch of time Googling malware. Which I suppose I should be aware of, but you know. TrickBot, Banking Trojan, Access Trojan, and I think we have Trojan in here now. And so we added, one of the things we did is we added Trojan, we added rat for remote access Trojan. And if you choose rat, you automatically, in the update scripts, it'll take remote access and backdoor, which this provides both of. or we'll take Trojan, excuse me, and backdoor. Banking Trojan, and this seems to be a rat. Module accompanied by a configuration file. Yada yada yada. Looks like stuff. And business for infection types. It's got different infections. Then we probably should put this up in the references. Put it at the end of the references though. Actually, maybe we'll put these down in the notes for the malware. This, and let's do one for Emotep. Either didn't spell the malware right, or is more overloaded than I thought. Google doesn't know me a lot. Emotet, okay. Nice cert reference for it. So put that at the end. Advanced bait, Baking Trojan. So it's the same functionality. Really wasn't used to exfiltrate. I guess you could remove exfiltrate, but okay, we don't know. This is likely a social action. I'm going to say phishing. Spam is generally advertisements and things like that. Vector by email, target, unknown, infiltrate. The actor is external. Say clearly organized crime for financial gain. What does CrowdStrike say about the group? We call them operations for Wizard. So the shift in operations for Wizard Spire, which Grim Spider appears to be a cell. Okay. Yeah, we will Google Wizard Spider. Use a German malware reference here. It's reportedly associated with Grim Spider and Lunar Spider, Russian-based operator of Trishbot. So what is Russia? Yeah. Okay. Region. What region does Russia fall into? Oh, I should know this one off the top of my head, but I do not. So we will go and look. Let's see. Eastern. Nope. I like the ones where they have it highlighted. It makes life a lot easier. So, what is Russia's M49? I bet I can just search for that. 49. Russia, like the Russian M49. Okay. Russia M49. Russian Federation. I mean, I don't want the country, I want the region. I mean, just it's gotta be Eastern Europe, right? Let's go back over here. Look at Eastern. Oh, that's Eastern Asia. I want Eastern Europe. Includes Northern Asia. Nope. Well, this is all Central and Eastern Europe. Russia, where the western part is in Eastern Europe and the eastern part is in Northern Asia. Okay, great. We'll go with Eastern Europe. They're not going to divide these long sea lines. Okay, so Eastern Europe is 151. So we'll do 150 for Europe and then 151 for Eastern Europe. Now I don't feel so bad if it extends across areas. Oh, and we actually have an actor name here, so we'll add the name. And are there other names for this threat group? Is there like an APT name or any other APT map? How to work? Span, blah blah blah. Okay, are they assign any cross references? Nope. Okay, well, we will go with that then. Asset. It's really unknown. We got obviously servers and obviously desktops or user devices. And one of the things we added was desktop and laptop, because a lot of times you just know it was a user device and you don't know whether it was a desktop or laptop. And so you can choose user, desktop, or laptop. If you choose laptop or you choose desktop as part of the workflow, at least if you're using the rules.py script, it will also add desktop or laptop if you choose either one of the individual ones, because this is kind of a parent for these two. In fact, if you read the descriptions, it'll tell you that. So we think user devices, desktops, or laptops. And in fact, the update script from 1.3.3 to 1.3.4 should have done that for any anything in VCDB. So VCDB should already have this kind of incorporated. It is IT. It is unclear whether any OT equipment was involved. Right? We know that they shut down. I don't know. Okay, so does it say here? The hospital confirmed that while applying, according to the hospital staff, brought in as well as volunteers to meet. Clinical teams forced to use paper processes. So, I mean, paper processes says IT, not OT, right? Like, it doesn't say that the PACS system was infected, which really could happen because those things have old operating systems. But we'll go with IT. And so, as far as we know, this is IT. All of it's in Canada. Attributes compromised? Probably a lot. And this is one of those really complex ones, right? This is a advanced threat. There was a phishing attack that altered behavior. And then based on that, malware was installed, which modified the software installation. So after the integrity was changed, confidentiality of internal data is affected. And then from there, okay, customer data. We think it was the victim organization data. They are indicating that they didn't lose anyone's organization, any personal data. Yeah. Okay. And state. The data was probably. I mean, we really don't know. We'll just go with that now. Very well. I'm gonna go with unknown, but also stored. Because clearly they had to have grabbed stored data as they were moving around. And then based on that, they used kind of those internal actions to affect availability. Duration happened on the 25th, so, and they're reporting on the 4th, and they're still not done, so at least weeks. This was targeted. They intended to specifically go after this hospital. We don't know how the targeting happened, but we do know. Discovery method, disclosed by threat actor. Well, no, I mean, they didn't have any contact. They said this was discovered internally, actually, which is surprising because that's not normally how ransomware works, but it was marked as a virus. So it kind of sounds like maybe they found it before it started encrypting, but then they kind of were discovered and maybe they get started encrypting. So reported by employee who sound the IT staff said it received a call from IT staff that a virus. Okay. I'm going to say antivirus just because of the way they described it. So I think antivirus caught it. We'll close that. Value chain. And so there's clearly a lot of development here. There's a Trojan. There was ransomware development. We don't know if any exploits were used. It doesn't sound like maybe a bot so much. Certainly a payload was developed. Non-distribution services, we don't know much about those. And so, unknown. Targeting. Use of the vulnerable and misconfigured used to pick an organization. Probably in information. We don't know about, well, probably picked as the size of the hospital. Organizational information probably led to it. In weaknesses, and this is one of the problems, is targeting a lot of times for like ransomware and such tends to happen by industry. And so it may not be the individual organization, but it's the general organizations in this vertical operate this way. It's likely they had email addresses, and then distribution was very likely by email. Cash out will be by cryptocurrency. And it didn't sound like they had laundered the money, right? Or I don't know. We don't know whether they've laundered it based off the CrowdStrike, say Bitcoin, where they mention body of him template is static, exception of the Bitcoin address, which may change. The email address is okay. The source address is okay. So maybe we look for address, because I'm curious if this says anything about how the money is laundered to date. The lowest observed payment was blah blah blah. Car addresses extract from are believed to be only a subset of the addresses based on other transactions. Significantly occurred a day after car with Bitcoin removed. And email, however, recent variants contain Bitcoin only the email. No longer contain Bitcoin addresses, only the email addresses. Notes that the victim will receive Bitcoin address as a reply from threat actor. Okay. It's kind of disappointing because what I really was hoping is it would give us some idea about what happened after the money went in. Does it get tumbled or something like that? Okay. So money laundering, it is unknown. Impact. So overall, this is painful at the very least. Hospital required to resort to paper processes and bring in additional staff. Doesn't say that they really stopped any other procedures or anything. This was PHID sign, event chain. So we think it started with a social action by an external actor on a person asset to compromise their integrity. That was used to install malware, internal on a probably user device, compromise the integrity of the user device. And then from there, we believe that one or more hacking actions occurred internally on unknown assets, compromise confidentiality of data. And I'm going to put a unknown in here because these should be external actors, not internal. that will indicate to us that one or more things may have happened in here where they don't know about, on unknown devices. Confidentiality, and eventually this all ends up with the malware, the ransomware, on servers, among other things, compromising the availability. And so this is an advanced threat. I'll mark this validated, and we'll save it. That's a nice, good one. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. We'll save that off. We'll return, and we'll code. That's our first 1.3.4 coded into yes. And we'll close this one down. I'll go back. My goal here is to get another 2 out of the way before in the next half hour. So we'll see whether I can get that done. Oh, this one has a lot of references. I generally don't like the ones that have a lot of references because they end up, one, it means it was probably some complex, crazy thing. And you're going to spend a bunch of time pouring through it. And I really don't have a lot of time to do that. Yeah, this is this really weird one. And I don't know. We'll do it quickly. I'm not a big fan of this issue. It's kind of just gruesome to consider. Okay. Put all these in here. Well, that reference is dead, so we'll remove it. Leaves us this one. Okay. So what happened? Yeah, that's not the part I want to read about. Investor found that abandoned medical records crossed his clinics in Indiana. Okay. So he left the spoils down to a doctor that left his medical records in his offices and didn't dispose of them correctly. Deplorable conditions, certainly problematic. Certainly was problematic. Blah blah blah. Going. All I want to know is just enough to code this incident, and absolutely nothing else. Okay. See, and then, sorry, I mean, there's just not a lot of information. Lost his license in 2015. Okay, so we're gonna say this breach began in 2015. It was just discovered when these articles came out. Confidentiality, median, because we don't have a whole lot of detail because that's not the part the news focuses on. It became a breach when he closed and was no longer maintaining them. Compromise was, immediate, really not applicable. It would skew the data. Exfiltration is really not applicable. Discovery took years, at least 4, because we're just finding about it now, and containment. Let's assume maybe, I don't know, weeks probably to clean up shred the information. And no one really got notified. They just found it. The victim is, what is the doctor's name again? The doctor is, okay. Did he have a clinic name or a company name? Operated 3 clinics. Okay. Doesn't really say, and so I'm not going to worry about it. It's not a big deal. Small locations affected, 3 industry. certainly medical, but let's see what we can find. Healthcare, clinic. Nope. Well, let's go back to 62 and see. Medical and diagnosis laboratories, offices of physicians. So this was a physician office, I think, for all intents and purposes. I don't know. Actually, family planning center is probably, I don't know. You know what? This is going to be 621. That is 621, and then 622 is hospital. It's not a hospital. 623 is nursing home. It's not that. 624 is social assistance. It's not that. So we'll just go with this level of detail. This is in the United States. And put the region in, of course. And what state was it in? Maryland. No, MD is not. It's the doctor. Indiana. Which I'm pretty sure is IN, right? Should know these things off the top of my head, but it never hurts to check. USIN. SIN. No real secondary victims. So, and then action. Misuse. Data mishandling. Not disposal. Actually, it'd be insecure disposal, wouldn't it? So content, storage, or distribution, note, knowledge abuse, knowledge use, other possession abuse. Snap unapproved. Snap picture is a new one. It comes up sometimes when people take pictures of information. It's taking the picture that's the breach, not the method for exfiltration, really. Approved workaround. Yeah, unapproved workaround. Just storing it in place. Physical access. And really, I mean, it was exfiltration because once these were shut down, it had been exfiltrated to a secure place. Records stored in shut down clinics. Okay. Actor. Internal. We'll say the executive was responsible for this. Motive was other. Actually, convenience. They just didn't do anything. I'm going to skip that. I mean, obviously, if it's closed down, everyone was fired, but I don't think that half fits the context of that. So the assets, the records, we don't know how many. It's in the thousands, but we don't know how many thousands. But these are media documents, it sounds like. Cloud is not applicable because it's just media. Role is not applicable. Country was United States. And then our assets, and then our attribute is confidentiality. It was data disclosed, yes, because someone walked in and found them there. Oh, that we don't want. The variety was medical data of patients. Stored, printed. Data was abused, no. Don't know any of the rest of this stuff. And one of the changes now is that partner, where it used to be a string, is now a choice. There's no other unknown. I probably should put an NA in there as well. There's no other unknown. Partner number has to be a number, an integer number, or it will fail. Credit monitoring years can be a decimal number, but if it's not a number, it'll fail. It has to be more than 0 for both of those. Close attribute. Discovery method. External, probably unrelated third party. Someone was cleaning up the area. Value chain doesn't apply. This is PHI, DBR, assignment. This was an misuse by an internal actor on a physical media asset compromises confidentiality. And modified will get filled in. We really should hide modified. Security maturity. We don't know. Unknown unknowns. Cost corrective actions. Control failure, which are all very useful if you're using this internally, but are not as useful in our context. And we'll select that, and we're going to save it out here. The reason we've saved them is it just makes things a little bit easier. So go here. And then let's try to get one more done in the next 20 minutes. Close all these things and close this and never have to deal with it again, hopefully. Credit card skimming devices found in Aldi supermarkets. That's an interesting one. Normally don't see them in supermarkets, but figure out what it was. Okay. Cells. So authorities say credit card skimming devices were found installed at credit card machines inside at least 2 Aldi supermarkets. Devices removed. Early stages. There's no clear how many customers. Potential issue. Then background information that doesn't help in our case. Card skimmers found, and now they've got 2 pictures of the people, putting it on there. Devices have been found. Devices were found on both lower. Case have been identified or believed to be a large criminal enterprise. No kidding. Police say they have been several suspects. Okay, customers who shopped Aldi in the recent months, not helping. Well, at least I guess we know it takes months to discover. Okay. So this happened in 2018, February 2018, so it's a 19 record. Let's put it here. This is confirmed. Got a couple of references we can put in here that actually add a little bit more detail, which is nice. That's what was found at the supermarket. That's a gas skimmer. Similar to this one. Someone Googled skimmer and that was the picture they came up with. That does not look like a skimmer. Like, I've seen skimmers that are installed in those things, but that looks like the entire card reader. Okay, whatever. Says that notify customers who shop between January 19th and January 30th. Okay, so we're getting a little bit more detail. We know what happened. We know it's happened in 2018, right? Yeah. January 16th. It was there for 2 weeks. Compromise probably took seconds, literally, to put the thing on. Exfiltration would have started relatively quickly. But we'll mark unknown. I mean, really, probably minutes, hours. See, the question is, did they come back for it? And how do they exfiltrate the data? Because skimmers can exfiltrate data in a couple different ways, right? You can have to plug into it, or you can just take the skimmer, or you can have a Bluetooth or wireless thing. Regardless, they probably came back a day or 2 later. Discovery took months, it sounds like. Well, I mean, they said 30th January, so we'll say weeks. They discovered it in 2 weeks. Containment, it sounds like probably minutes because they remove the thing. And certainly they don't let anyone use it afterwards. Victim, Aldi. As a company, Aldi, employee, number of employees. Okay. Number of employees. For 25,000 people. That's just like the US, right? Stores across the employees over 25,000. That's Aldi US, because Aldi ultimately I thought was a European store. But Aldi US might be the appropriate organization. Say Aldi US to be specific. US employee count is 10 to 100,000. Here we go. Oh, 10 to 25,000. Say 25,000 to 50,000. United States locations affected. They said 3 locations, right? Found, installed machines at 2 locations. Industry. Let's see. Grocery. Not wholesalers. Supermarkets and others except grocery stores. Supermarkets and other grocery except convenience stores. Okay. Looks right. And then region is North America. And these were found in Illinois, right? Montgomery County. Philadelphia. Okay. Let's see. And then Montgomery County, Philadelphia, right? County, Philadelphia. I guess we gotta get rid of this. Montgomery County. It's right there, but I guess I can't code the county, can I? This is state. Okay, well, do that. By the way, if you have secondary victims, a new thing, and we added documentation about this, is if you have like a secondary company and you know the industry, you can put it with a semicolon in the secondary IDs. So in these fields, you can put victim, Verizon, semicolon, and that number in each one of these records. Oh, excuse me. And if you know there's a secondary victim but you don't know who it is, you can still just put the next code after a semicolon for parsing. So we'll close that. Action, physical, skimmer, vector. This was inside the victim public area. This was used to exfiltrate data. And then the actor is external. This is organized crime for financial gain. It doesn't say, a lot of times these financial organizations are not US based, and so the people come in and do the thing for a couple weeks and then leave, but we don't really have any information on where they're from, so we'll skip that. The asset were, we don't know how many, but they were terminals, PED devices, on-prem assets, IT, and these were in the United States as well. And then the attribute was confidentiality. Data was disclosed for 2 weeks. We don't know how many, but payment data of customers. And this was in during transmission or processing, during processing. Data abuse, we would assume so. Partner data, credit monitoring. Discovery method, it sounded like internal employee noticed it. Value chain, right? Because there had to be development here. They had to have developed other physical skimmer. Non-distribution services we don't really know about. We can mark it in A. Excuse me. And then targeting. They had to organizational information. Terminal was used by company. And then distribution. Other Physical distribution by person. Cash out, stolen goods, because that's what you can use credit cards for, is to buy. And the other thing is you could sell the credit cards. And really, that's probably more likely. Cryptocurrency direct. Well, sell stolen goods. Either you sell things bought with the credit cards, or you sell the credit card number itself, which is a stolen good. Money laundering, we don't know how they intend to launder the money. Impact, overall rating is probably insignificant. The organization removed them and notified people. That's about it. So random assignment. It was a physical action by an external actor on a terminal device leading to compromise of confidentiality. Mark it validated, and we'll see, did we get everything? We did. And that is just that easy. So normally I would try to get another one in, but because I've got another meeting to go to, and then I still have to upload these into VCDB, I'm going to cut it short, and we'll call that a day. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about anything about VERIS 1.3.4 or anything else, by all means, you can contact me on Twitter at GDBassett, or come and ask in streams. So thank you for coming by, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.